Hello and welcome back to the third and final part of What If a Billionaire Invested in Romania. We have gone 15 years in the future since last episode, to a long time. So there's a lot to catch up on, so let's try and get into this very, very quickly. First of all then, we'll look at Romania. They've dropped to 37th in the world rankings. If we look at the world rankings history for the past few years, they were as high as 4th at one point in 2030, which is incredible, but went down to a low of 58th very, very recently. They've sort of bounced back up to 37th really, so they must have done something good. They must have come to like a semi-final of a World Cup or something like that to get 4th in the world. So we'll have to look at their schedule though in the past 15 years or so. So we'll go back to 2025, which is when we were last there. So they won basically all the World Cup qualifying games. World Cup second round, knocked out to Germany there. Went through European qualification, qualified for the championships, but only made it third in their group. I think they beat England though, so that's probably not actually that impressive really, is it? And then won basically all the World Cup qualifying back in the 2030 World Cup, where they got knocked out in the second round. So I don't understand why they are apparently 4th in the world at this point. I would have thought they got to semi-final in 2030, but only the second round, lost to Russia. So, I mean, unless beating Croatia, Costa Rica and Senegal is enough to get you 4th in the world, I'm a bit confused by that. The year afterwards, they do all right in World Cup, in a European qualification. They get to the second round of that and lose to England. So they're not doing... I'm not seeing why they're 3rd in the world and things like that. They didn't make the 2034 World Cup at all either. 2036, they get into the European Championships but losing the group stages. And we're just skipping through now. They're not really doing anything. Euros group stages there once again, 2040. But, I mean, they're not doing anything. Like, I don't understand why they were 3rd in the world. We'll have to look at the team instead. I mean, they've got one standout player in the team, Doral Busera. 160 current ability, 190 potential. That's amazing. At 20 years old as well, he's a real world beater. Currently plays for AC Milan. Does he look any good? He looks pretty decent. Finishing at 17, he's got some really good physicals. And to be fair, his mentals are very good. His 17 determination is what I love, with a fairly determined personality. That is a win-win situation there. Where did he come from then? Dinamo Bucharest. It was a regen there. Played all right for him. Didn't really have amazing season in terms of goal scoring and stuff like that, but then went to AC Milan for nearly 30 million and has done alright there, I suppose, scoring a goal just about every other game there. So I suppose he's done alright, hasn't he? Only 20 years old, he's got a long way to go as well, which is alright. The second best player they've got is Bogdan Ciu, I think is perhaps how you say that name, Ciu. 149 current ability, 155 potential, 22 million, plays for Dinamo Bucharest. 22 years old. He'll probably reach his potential, I imagine, on the left-hand side of midfield. Has played a lot of games with Dinamo Bucharest recently. Is one of their youth players and has sort of come through and done very well for them. He's played better and better every single season, so I'll expect to see him getting 8s in a few years' time. 8s on his ratings. Adrian Duta is the third best player in the squad there. 148 current ability, 156 potential, but he's 31 years old, so he's not going to reach that, obviously. He is another striker. Looks as good as that other guy, to be fair. So if they play a 2-striker system, they could be pretty decent, couldn't they? If they play a 2-striker system, having these two world beaters up there. Where's his career taken him then? It's taken him all over the place. Started off with teams in the lower leagues of Romania before playing in the first division with them, but they seem to bounce up and down a little bit. Moved to Monaco for 3 million. Went to Inter Milan on loan for a little bit, but stayed for Monaco for quite a long time before going to Napoli on loan. Never really broke into their first team later on in his career, but then went to Atletico Madrid. I say later on in his career, he was probably like in his mid-20s at this point, actually. But then went for 5 million to Atletico Madrid, and he's not had a brilliant goal scoring record, I've got to say, actually, considering how good he's meant to be and his finishing of 17 and things like that. He's not had a huge, amazing goal scoring record, and his seasons haven't been brilliant, really, apart from this one, but only played 3 games there for Monaco reserve. So it's an interesting one with Dutta, but you know, he's there, he's an alright player. Hopefully he'll carry on for the next few years. Any players coming through then? I mean, there's no one there looking amazing really in terms of potential. Under 20 squad, again, no one looking good in terms of potential. Under 19s, even worse really, if we look at that potential. 146 actually is the best player there. So no one well beaten coming through, unfortunately, for Romania. So I guess their demise in the world rankings is probably going to continue. Right then, Romania, currently the 7th most reputable league in the world at the moment, or in Europe rather, which is pretty good going, to be fair. Not far off Portugal and Italy and things like that. We'll look at the coefficients actually as well, shall we? Go to Europe here, go to Nation Club coefficients, I believe it is. Romania currently 7th on 36, so they're just behind Portugal on 38, but they're still a long way off Italy in that top 5, so that's probably where they're going to stay for the next few years, I think, Romania, if we carried on this experiment. Obviously, there's a lot to look through, so we'll have a quick snapshot first at the previous winners. We last joined here in 2025, or 24-25, when Craiova won it. For the next 5-6 seasons, they won it 5 out of 6 times, which is pretty good going. FC Steaua Bucharest winning it a couple of times as well. But then all of a sudden, Craiova just drop off the map. Like, they're here, they come third, and they're off the top 3 forever, basically, which is weird. And Dinamo Bucuresti and FC Steaua Bucharest seem to just come out of nowhere. I say come out of nowhere, they've been coming second and things like for a long time, but suddenly they become the dominant sides, and it sort of seems to battle between them as well, with teams like Botoșani coming third, Cluj always been in there, around there, Concordia also there, up around there a little bit as well, Sepsi as well. Some interesting teams up there, which is interesting, I've got to say. We'll have a proper look through them, very well. I say proper look, we'll look through it very quickly. We'll go back to that 25-26 season when Craiova are champions. We'll skip through things very quickly, you see. I don't want to spend too long doing this because there's a lot to look through in this episode, 15 years. Viitorul this season, obviously they finished 9th in the table, but must have had an awful relegation group there to get relegated. Whereas Poly, awful in the season, but had the comeback of all comebacks to avoid relegation overall, which is pretty good going for them. Craiova then winning it again. They're dominant. They're dominant by a huge amount as well in some of these teams. This season they came third, but obviously had a very, very good championship group. Concordia obviously bottling it somehow because they were winning it by quite a long way there, to be fair. 30-31 season, I think that's the last time Craiova win it, and then it goes back to Dinamo Bucuresti. So Craiova still topping the table at this point, at least that season, but lost it in the championship group. And then the season afterwards, finishing way down in 6th, way off the pace. And all of a sudden, Craiova are sort of like a second-rate side. They're not getting anywhere near that top 3 in terms of points and things like that. They come third this season, 35-36, but they're just dropping off completely. I don't understand what's gone on with them there. And it's just Steaua Bucharest and Dinamo Bucuresti that are just topping it all the time. And Sepsi have come out of nowhere. Like, they were not a top division side, were they? Or maybe they were. They got relegated at one point, but they were a mediocre top division side before have now just sort of come out of nowhere to become one of those top 3 sides, basically. And then the season we've just had, Dinamo Bucuresti win it. ACS Poly finished 6th overall, but must have had an incredible championship group to finish 2nd overall to get that Champions League space, and then these teams grabbing the extra Europa League places. But Craiova, the team that we knew were amazing for years and years and years, just about avoiding relegation there. They've had a real fall from grace. Now, if you want to talk about real falls from grace, I've just gone down to the 2nd division. Cluj have just been promoted from the 2nd division. They must have had a huge demise because they were one of the best teams for a long time. In the past few seasons, they've gotten down, got relegated, spent a season there in 5th, but this season they just got promoted again. So we'll look at the past winners of it and just see what's going on here. Viitorul has also gone down as well. Blimey, there's so much change going on here. Viitorul and Cluj being relegated a few times. Viitorul have been down there for a few seasons now. When did they get relegated? They've been bouncing up and down. That is very unusual for Viitorul, I've got to say, on the grounds that when we start this experiment, they'd won it the season before the league, the 1st division, and they've been in Europe a few times. So that's interesting stuff, that is. And if we look through this, it's literally the same teams bouncing up and down a lot of the time. If we look here from 25-26 onwards, it's a few teams just bouncing up and down. UTA Arad have been bouncing up and down. FC Arges have been bouncing up and down. It's sort of the same few teams around that sort of area. Juventus Bucharest have been up and down a lot, I think. At least they've been in and around the playoffs in the 2nd division for a long time. They've been relegated a few times actually as well. So they've had a real fall from grace and then suddenly back to 3rd at some point. So interesting stuff from them. It's so random. This is crazy. I've never seen it so volatile like in some of these teams like Cluj and Viitorul, Juventus Bucharesti. I've not seen it this volatile for a long time. We're going to quickly skip through some transfers, see if we can see some massive fees being paid by Romanian sides. In this first 25-26 season, 10 million is the biggest one. But I'm looking for big ones. 21 million a season afterwards there for a player going to Dinamo Bucharest. Not Dinamo Bucharest, Steaua Bucharest, sorry. Only 6 million a season afterwards. There's 9 million there, an 8 million, an 11 million there going from Bristol City to Botoșani. Another 11 million. 12 million rises to 18 million there for Marcus, going to Benfica actually. Let's see what happened to him then. He's still at Benfica. Is he a decent player? He's played very, very well for Benfica, I've got to say. Had one season. That's weird. He went from Benfica for one season to Dinamo Bucuresti. They bought him back the same season, which is, I'm not quite sure what went on there. I mean, he went in the summer, went back in the January. So that's a £10 million loss for Benfica for no reason, really. He played 5 games and made 10 million for Dinamo Bucuresti. So, I mean, that's good business for them, I've got to say. 26 million there from Dinamo Bucuresti to Bayern Munich. Is he still at Bayern Munich, this guy? He still is. He's a German guy, though, not a Romanian guy. and went to Dinamo Bucharest for free, and 3 seasons later went for 26 million. So that's a good bit of profit for them. A very, very good player as well. Look at those average ratings. That is what you want to see from one of your top players, I've got to say. 34-35, a 10 million there, a 33 million there from this guy going from Dinamo Bucharest to Chelsea. He's a French guy though, not Romanian, so we're not too interested in him. But yeah, again, a free from Stade Rennais to Dinamo Bucharest, and then £33 million profit for them. They're doing bits, I've got to say, in terms of profit from players and getting good players on a free transfer. That is really, really good going. He played very, very well for Dinamo Bucharest as well. Look at that goal scoring return. No wonder Chelsea were desperate for him. That is an incredible goal scoring return. Like, wow, that is huge. 12 million the season after that is the biggest. 14 million there for another player going to Dinamo Kiev. He sounds like he could be Romanian, but he's not. He's Bosnian. Isn't he any good? He's all right, I've got to say. His average ratings have been pretty good, to be fair, in the past 3 seasons. Before that, they was kind of mediocre, I've got to say. But he doesn't look like an amazing player, technically speaking, although heading, marking and tackling is what you want in a central defender, and they're all very, very good. Season afterwards, 12 million, rise to 28 million actually, but that's for Dorrel that we've already spoken about before, so that's actually quite a lot of money. And then 28 million there for a guy going to Bayern Munich again, for Yanis. Is he a decent? He's valued at 41 million now, and he looks very, very decent, to be fair. Another German guy. Really, really good stats there, to be fair, I've got to say. And some good average ratings to back him up, at least in the past 2 or 3 seasons. Again, another free transfer sold for a lot of money. They're making so much profit at Dinamo Bucharest from transfers. I can't believe it. Another player they've sold here to Barcelona, was he on a free transfer as well? Fidel and Dar. Was he a free transfer to Dinamo? He was 1.5 million, so nearly a free transfer when you consider how much he sold him for. But he played a long time for Dinamo Bucharest and had some decent seasons, I've got to say. And that's all transfers, actually. Looking at that, that's all transfers. So we're going to go and look at European competitions now. We're going to look at the Euro Cup first, and we'll see if anyone has won it from wherever we're from. Romania right now. I had to think of that then. We'll go back to that 25-26 season, and we'll go to the first knockout round, see if anyone is there. Right, Romania, Steaua Bucharest are there, that they lose 4-1 on aggregate to Roma. We don't talk about Roma anymore, do we? If you watch Lincoln Loco, we do not talk about Roma anymore. But they're the only Romanian side there. Season afterwards, can we see any? Steaua Bucharest there again, and once again lose to Roma. I mean, it's just as if they hate Roma as much as I do now, FC Steaua Bucharest fans. Season afterwards, once again, FC Steaua Bucharest there, but lose again in the first knockout round to Inter Milan, 5-1 on aggregate this time. Craiova are there as well, but they lose 4-0 on aggregate to Tottenham, so not really the best start for them either in European football. Cluj are there in the 28-29 season just before their big demise. They lose 5-2 on aggregate there to Dinamo Kiev. FC Steaua Bucharest though do beat Hertha Berlin. They beat them 4-1 on aggregate. Any more Romanians? Craiova lose to Villarreal 3-1. No more Romanian sides though, so we'll go to the second knockout round, where our boys FC Steaua Bucharest lose to Hoffenheim 4-3 in aggregate. That's agonisingly close, really. But unfortunately could not progress any further in the second knockout round, which is a bit frustrating at the moment. 29-30 season then, FC Steaua Bucharest into the second knockout round once again after beating Atalanta 4-2. Craiova lose to Dinamo Kiev 5-3 on aggregate after a 3-3 draw, or 3-2 loss, in the second leg. But they're the only 2 teams that are in it this season, so we go to that second knockout round, and FC Steaua Bucharest beat Inter Milan on penalties after a 2-2 draw, so they go into the quarterfinals, where they face Valencia but lose 3-0 on aggregate. So the best season so far we've seen for FC Steaua Bucharest, but unfortunately wasn't to be. Season afterwards, let's have a look down. Are there any teams there? No Romanians there. Okay, that's a bit weird. 31-32 season. Dinamo Bucharest there. This is when they start to make their dominance now, but lose to Sporting 5-1 on aggregate. The season afterwards then, any more Romanians there? There is down here Dinamo Bucharest once again, but losing away goals to Ghent, which is really, really the worst way to go, I've got to say. There's 2 more teams as well. FCSB there once again, they lose to Napoli 2-1, and so do Concordia. They lose 2-1 to Bordeaux as well after winning the first leg 1-0 as well. Agonising that is when you win the first leg but lose the second and go out. 33-34 season then, FC Steaua Bucharest are one of the 3 Romanian sides there actually I can see, but they lose to Seville. Dinamo Bucharest lose to Bordeaux, and Concordia lose to Villarreal. I feel like that was like a similar draw to last season as well. Or am I lying to you? I'm lying to you, don't worry about it. And actually, Craiova are also there in this 33-34 season, but they lose as well. So 4 teams making the first knockout round, but can't get through, which is really, really annoying me. I want to see someone get to a final or a semi-final or something. Steaua Bucharest win it in the 34-35 season, though they go past Olympiacos 3-2 on aggregate, but I can't see any more Romanian sides there, which is, again, frustrating. Second knockout round, where are they? Lose to CSK Moscow 3-2 6-1 on aggregate. So we're not getting anywhere fast with this, really, are we? I've got to say, I expected more, and it's not happened. Concordia losing the 35-36 season to Bordeaux. Cluj also lose 3-1 to Copenhagen, so this must be like before or after or in between a decline, I don't really know. Craiova do get through, they beat Zoya 4-2 on aggregate, so that's a pretty good result for them. Into the second knockout round where they lose to Southampton 2-0 on aggregate. So again, another team getting knocked out in the second knockout round. 36-37 season now, we're nearly there now. ACS Poly out of nowhere have come there, but they lose 4-3 to Club Brugge, which is unfortunate. Dinamo Bucharest lose to Arsenal on away goals. Looking down the list though, I can't see any more Romanian sides. 37-38 season, can we see any Romanian sides in here? We see one, Dinamo Bucharest. They lose 3-1 to Inter Milan, which is not the best result for them. But FCSB, they're there though. They beat Austria Wien. They beat them 4-2 on aggregate to go into the second knockout round, where they lose to Inter Milan 5-1 on aggregate. FCSB have been the best performing side in European football so far for us, but just can't get through this second knockout round ever. They're just poor. They got through once actually, didn't they, to the quarters, I think, but it's just unfortunate for them. The 38-39 season, Dinamo Bucharest there. They managed to beat Celtic 2-1 on aggregate. Are they the only Romanian side there, though? It looks like they are. We go to the second knockout round now, and we can see Dinamo Bucharest beat Lazio 6-1 on aggregate. That's a huge result, so that's good going for them. Quarterfinals, Dinamo Bucharest there. They beat Bilbao 3-0 on aggregate. Semi-final time, they lose to Arsenal 3-2 on aggregate. That could have set up a North London derby for the final, but it didn't, unfortunately. Dinamo Bucharest just miss out there. They did very well in the first leg, won the first leg 2-1, but couldn't do anything in the second leg when we lost 2-0. So unlucky Dinamo, that's the best we've seen so far. And then in the season we have just had, there are 4 Romanian sides. Dinamo Bucharest beat Angers, FCSB beat Copenhagen, but Craiova lose to Schalke and Botoșani lose to Everton. So nice to see the 4 teams get in there. Let's have a look and see if they have it in the second knockout round. Where are they? FCSB beat Everton on penalties. And where are the other teams? Dinamo Bucharest beat Lazio. That's pretty good going. 4-1. That's nice to see. Quarter-final time, though. Dinamo Bucharest beat Dion. They beat them 6-2 on aggregate to another semi-finalist. And FCSB lose to AC Milan. I thought they would beat them suddenly. But no, they lost 4-2 on aggregate. Semi-finals. Dinamo Bucharest lose once again, this time to Chelsea, another Premier League side. They lose 1-0 on aggregate. So close, yet so far for Dinamo Bucharest. Well, on the grounds that we didn't see a huge amount of performances from Romanian sides in the Europa League, I don't think we're going to see much in the Champions League. So we're going to skip through this quickly until I can sort of see the Romanian flag come up at some point, but it's not looking likely right now in these knockout stages, for example. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I'm going further and further and still not seeing any Romanian flag. If anyone's going to do it, it's Steaua Bucharest or FC Bucuresti, and it's not happened at all, I'm afraid. So no one getting through to this first qualifying round, or the knockout stages, of the Champions League, which is quite unfortunate considering we've gone a long time in the future. Well, that is it then for the Romanian experiment. We've got a long way in the future, but unfortunately the money just couldn't quite win them a European competition. They came close towards the end, but unfortunately no finals for anyone. Hopefully next time though, and the next country we do will prove to be a lot more fruitful, and we'll see some more results. That will come later on in the weekend. So I hope you can join me then for that. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I will see you next time for some more billionaire action.